So Nando V Movies is doing another collaborative video playlist, this time on the X-Men. And thanks to my buddy Tim from Hello Future Me, I was able to squeeze my way into getting my video released alongside theirs. So, thanks Tim. X-Men has always been a huge influence on me. X-Men First Class just so happens to be the film that made me realize that I wanted to be a filmmaker. So why not do a video on First Class?
Killing Shaw will not bring you peace. Peace was never an option.
Well, first, there's a ton of other videos on First Class featured in the One X-Cellent Scene playlist, so please go check those out. I mean, you probably watched them already. But mainly because I just couldn't resist the one scene that still inspires me to this day.
Charles, we need you to hope again.
While relying heavily on hope and intention may seem illogical or ineffective, it's essential to growth and moving towards that future that you want, no matter what the obstacles are. Because in many cases, not all cases, but many cases, the only thing stopping you from obtaining the vision you have of your future is the lack of belief that it can happen. And that's what we're talking about today. Throughout this film, young Charles Xavier has been shown to be sulking over his loss from the previous film. He's an addict now, using a drug that restores his legs and cuts off his psychic ability so he doesn't have to hear the voices anymore. I'm sure you remember all that stuff. It's an amazing movie. Meanwhile, outside of the X-Mansion, shit is going down. Magneto's forming a plan to sabotage Trask and make the humans look bad, per usual for Magneto. And we usually have Charles to contrast that by believing that humans and mutants can live together in harmony. But we don't have that in this film. And Raven, more widely known as Mystique, is caught right in the middle of all this. The fate of the future swings on her decision. She could kill Trask, fulfilling her vengeance, but in doing so, she'd show the world that mutants are something to be feared, only ensuring the grim future that we see at the beginning of the film. But the one thing that could change Mystique's mind is Charles Xavier.
What a hunky chunk!
So, in a way, while the plot of the film revolves around Raven's choice, and our protagonist is found in Logan as he's sent back in time, the film revolves around the journey Charles takes in dealing with his pain.
So much pain.
And making the choice to hope again. Professor X, who has more often than not been portrayed as the role model, is now the one who has to grow. And thanks to the influence from the future, Charles is able to do all of this.
Charles.
I know what Trask has done.
And it's all thanks to hope. A concept that seems to have been made so fragile by today's standards, but when you give it the power it deserves, it can change the world. I mean, think about it. Logically, there's no way anything should have gone right. It had been around a decade since Raven and Eric were ever close to Charles.
You abandoned me! You took her away and you abandoned me!
And after the closest people to him left, he at least had one thing: his school. But the world turned around and told him no, drafting the family that he had built around him into the Vietnam War. It's very obvious that this broke him. If you were to look at the original timeline before history was changed forever, without the intervention from Wolverine, Raven would have killed Trask, which means one thing didn't happen, and that was Charles. Charles would have stayed locked away in his mansion, sulking for years upon years, until one day he was able to scrape together what he had and form the X-Men, as we see in the original X-Men films. So even though it would have worked out in the end, that doesn't mean his journey wasn't full of pain. You see, without that hope that he's given in this film, Charles would have been stuck in this cycle of undeserved remorse. But thanks to a very convenient gift from the future, that hope was reinstilled in Charles yet again, changing the tide.
Not if we show them a better path.
You still believe?
Young Charles is surprised to hear that this old, rugged version of himself, who had to literally sit there and lose everyone he ever loved, still had hope for humanity. Earlier in the film, Logan mentions that it was originally supposed to be Professor X that went back in time.
Actually, it was supposed to be you.
I was the only one who could physically make the trip.
Because, he's Wolverine.
I'm Wolverine!
which is a beautiful stroke of storytelling. Things definitely would have gone smooth if Charles had gone back in time himself, but by sending Logan back instead, it doesn't force younger Charles to make the right decisions, but it helps him learn and grow to the point where he can make those decisions himself. This goes to show that even though Professor X is the most powerful telepath in the world, his true superpower is hope. Without hope, Charles becomes a groggy addict who fumbles around his mansion. But with hope, he has the power to bring the world together and show humanity that the mutant minority is not to be feared.
Use your power. Bring us together. We will need you, Professor.
I'll do my best.
Your best is enough. Trust me.
All he needed was to believe in himself. But even though Charles is a man with an amazing vision for the future, that doesn't mean he can do it alone. None of us can do it alone. If we try to accomplish our visions by ourselves, the eventual low moments we all go through will one day get the better of us. This is why it's essential to have support. And in Charles's case, he has Hank, he had Logan, and he has his little talk with the future version of himself. Because if the future Charles, who has suffered great losses at the hands of humans, can still believe there's hope for them, that speaks volumes.
Just because someone stumbles, loses their way, it doesn't mean they're lost forever. Sometimes we all need a little help.
Charles Xavier, the legendary telepath and visionary for the future, his true power is hope. And that, my friends, is my takeaway from this scene. If you have a vision for the future that you think would help, the best thing you can do is set your intention on that goal and hope. Don't listen to those along the way who have already given up on that dream, like Eric. Instead, find those who are still open to believing, form a network of support, and work together to make your dream a reality. Because in the end, that's how the X-Men survived for so long. So thanks for listening. Go check out Nando's playlist with all the other One X-Cellent Scene videos. Let me know in the comments what your favorite X-Men scene is, and then go make your own video to add to the playlist. Really, he's letting anyone make a video and add it to the playlist. That's like 90% of the reason why I was allowed to make a video for this. So stay tuned on this channel. More videos are definitely coming, and I'll see you all next time on Communes Cove.